There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another TVDM Consultants webinar. This is for the month of August. We haven't done anything special for Women's Day per se, but we're very much looking forward to joining Marina and her team on the Women in Sectional Title webinar that's happening at 11 o'clock. This morning, we have been honored with Shirley's presence. Shirley, of course, is the author of this Bible, which I'm sure you all know about. And if you don't have a copy of it, Shirley will be telling you a little bit more about it during the course of the session this morning. Shirley prepared some slides, which will be made available during the presentation and afterwards, as well as a recording of the session as well. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to pop your hand up, to unmute yourself, to ask it in the chat function. Just, of course, if you do have some background noise, I've got 3 barking dogs on my side, just to mute yourself. I'll be doing the slides on my side. And like I said, we'll be ending a couple of minutes before 11 o'clock that we can get on to the other webinar. Please do keep your eye on your email and social media, because we will be advertising our next session that will not be a TVDM Consultants webinar per se, but rather a demo for Meeting Pal, a voting app that I'm sure we've all heard about as well. That'll be run by Meeting Pal Punalaru, and that information will be made available to you shortly. So on that note, let me just open up the presentation. And Shirley, in the meantime, while I'm sharing my screen, you are more than welcome to get going on your side. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's really such a pleasure to be here. And thank you all for joining. Really, my mission in life is to make sectional title easier for everybody. And relationships in normal households are difficult between 2 people, let alone in sectional title where there's at least 3 key parties. So this morning we're concentrating on how to make it easier. So what we all are wanting to achieve in sectional title is a well-run, this is second slide, a well-run body corporate that engenders Ubuntu, positivity, communication, a community spirit, and have a good investment at the end of it to show, and be able to come home at the end of the day to a safe place that we can just relax into. So now I'm not trying to be the Dr. Phil of sectional title, slide 3, but I do believe that he's got a lot to offer. And sectional title needs all of the key elements that Dr. Phil introduces into relationships. And the key ones are set boundaries. You need to know where you can push people to and not push people to. And few people seem to understand that these days. Another one is open but calm communication. There's no point in going to scream at your neighbor, because he's going to be your neighbor probably for a very long time. So do it in a calm manner. Be upfront about expectations. And this in particular is with with managing agents, because managing agents deal with a lot of different trustees over the years. They all have different expectations. Do you know how difficult it is for managing agents to actually meet your expectations if you don't view them? Education. If you're not educated, even a basic education in sectional title, how can you possibly live comfortably in it? How can you be a trustee? Managing agents tear their hair out because trustees and owners don't know what they're supposed to do and not supposed to do. And the last one, which is the hardest for all of us in every relationship, is compromise. And in sectional title, if you want to carry on living in a comfortable community, there is going to have to be some compromise. This is why Community Schemes Umbat is starting with mediation first, before you can get to the adjudication section. So slide 4, here is my intake on implementing a better place to live for owners, trustees, and managing agents. Let's start with managing agents, because they're quite pivotal. So that's slide 5. The aspects that this I have collected over the years from managing agents that I've taught. And managing agents get sleepless nights about a lot of things. Believe it or not, they are not robots, and they're not able to work without feeling anything. And some of the things that come up time and time again are the fact that there's a lot of in-house politics and fighting between trustees, and they become privy to all of it because emails zip backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and always copied into the managing agent. How disconcerting is this? And now you have to read it because you might miss something that's important. So don't involve them in the dramas. Very bad language. Well, I can't say that I've never used a bad word, but try and minimize it when you're dealing with managing agents. They deserve respect. They are a contract to you, and it's really important that you deal with them accordingly. The other thing is many people rant and rave, and they don't ever give a person a chance to actually reply. So I know that I've dealt with it in a way that I just let them carry on and on. You can do your work and put the phone on the side and just let them carry on. But then at the end of the day, both parties need to be listened to. And that's what upsets managing agents. They want to try and explain, and then all they hear is, but we pay you levies. What are we paying you levies for? Owners that are oblivious to what the conduct rules say and what sectional title allows. This is a nightmare for managing agents because you have to always teach them, and they don't want to hear anyway because they only want it done their way. We really do carry on with a whole lot more. You will find that as I go along, because we're going to do it in 3 sections: managing agents, trustees, and owners. And there's so much commonality between all of them. And one of them comes through all the time is set boundaries, adhere to boundaries. But other things that upset managing agents are trustees who have a limited understanding of their duties and sectional title responsibilities. And I'm going to address that a little bit further on. The next one is misconceptions about managing agents. I've already said to you that they're not robots, so they can't work without having feelings. The second misconception that people have about managing agents is that they've got a direct line to upstairs. So when the water stops coming in the taps, it's all the managing agent's fault. Why didn't they do something about it? And what happens when there's no electricity? Well, we all know we're having power outages. So what is special about the managing agent that they would be able to predict it and then stop it happening? Managing agents do not have powers beyond all of us own powers. And also, they're not the enemy. They're actually paid to do a job, and they want their job, so they actually like to work with you. The role of the managing agent is very vast. This is the next slide. They're appointed by the trustees of the body corporate, and they are delegated to carry out functions. They are absolutely not delegated to take the responsibilities of the trustees away from them, because it's the trustees that have been voted in by the owners. So it's the trustees that have to take responsibility. So when things don't happen in a hurry and the owners say, yeah, but you're the managing agent, why aren't you doing it? Then the managing agent has every right to say, but the trustees have to make decisions. We can't. And often trustees don't want to make decisions, and then it leaves the managing agent in a really difficult position. The role of the managing agent is to carry out these functions, and the requirements of the managing agent are set out in the contract. The managing agent contract is absolutely key to what determines the performance. And what doesn't happen in the contract is not meant to happen. So when you're starting off with a managing agent, and we'll deal with this a little bit further on later on, you have to set out what you want from the managing agent in a contract. If the contract has to change, it's able to be changed. Both sides need to be willing to sign it, and then you can change it. But they're not contracted to do things that are not in their contract. But the other important requirement of a managing agent is to have a fidelity fund certificate. It's mandatory. You as trustees need to ask that they've got one. The managing agent definitely needs to be familiar with sectional titles legislation, all of it. And a lot of the other acts like the National Building Regulations, the OSH Act, you don't have to have an intimate knowledge, but you do as a managing agent need to know enough to guide your trustees and owners. There's lots of do's of being a good managing agent. The smaller ones include such things as guiding and keeping your trustees and owners informed. You know, even if they don't want to listen, you have to keep trying it. And if they don't listen, one of the things I do suggest to managing agents is that they keep a paper trail. Put it in an email, send it to the trustees so you've got it, so nobody can come back at a later stage and say, the managing agent never told us that. You know, it's very easy to blame a managing agent. It's always easier to blame someone outside. So the managing agent's going to be first in the firing line. So more do's for the managing agent is to set your own boundaries. This is how much I'm prepared to do, and respect other people's. And don't break them, because as soon as it's natural that as soon as a person knows that the boundaries can be pushed, they push and they push and they push more. So that is something that's really key. And you're dealing with a lot of people. You have a lot of bosses as a managing agent. Every single owner is thought to be your boss. So you need to set your boundaries very firmly. You need to return calls and emails. The biggest bugbear I have with managing agents is that they don't reply first off, or they reply to the first question in the email, and they seem to forget the rest of it. They hope that you'll go away after they've answered the first one. And the third thing is to have in the subject line that when a managing agent is sending out an email, put what it's relevant to. Because if you get the same subject 20 times from a managing agent, you're going to stop after the first 2 or 3 and not read it. So always make the email subject line pertinent to what the content is. To me, it's very important to do this, and I think it's the same with trustees doing the same thing and owners. It needs to be pertinent. Then there's you have to keep the governance documents. There's a rule that says in the CSOS and in the Sectional Title Management Act that the governance documents need to be kept. Now, if you have a huge office at your estate, then maybe they're kept there. But it's the managing agent who continues to be the managing agent, probably a lot longer than the trustees. So that's where you keep it, and make sure as a managing agent you've got everything, including the plans. I cannot tell you how often I've asked for plans and nobody even knows you're supposed to keep them. And keep your managing agent contract with the trustees up to date. 3 years is the maximum before you need to renew it. But I've been finding that managing agent contracts are 12 years out of date, and therefore they're not relevant anymore because so much has changed in that time. Never lie to your trustees. If you don't know the answer, which is quite understandable because there's so much going on, just say, I'll find out and I'll come back and make sure you do. But I think the biggest do for managing agents is making sure your first trustees meeting after the AGM is set off correctly. So we're on slide 6 now, and please have a standard format for the first meeting post AGM, because then you're going to set the tone. You're going to have everybody understanding that you're a business person. You're going to do it correctly. You're going to have a format, and you are going to cover a lot of things that will come up later on. Much better to do it in the first meeting. You do have to elect chairman, and yes, that's not your job, but if you have it on the inventory of things to do, and I'm not saying the agenda because the agenda is something in addition to, but just make sure this is on the list that you're going to cover at that meeting. Elect the chairman. See that allocation of portfolios go out. A lot of you trustees don't know there's different portfolios that you could have. And having portfolios means that everybody that's a trustee is going to have a sense of responsibility. They don't have autonomy, but they do have a sense of responsibility. So for a certain aspect, and that gives them a buy-in. I think it's really important to have that, and they need to understand what they've got and they can form a subcommittee. So if you're in the fortunate position of people wanting to do and contribute, then those people who don't want to be trustees can be added into a portfolio subcommittee and contribute to their body corporate. Take the managing agent contract to that meeting, that first meeting, and highlight what you do and what you don't do. This is a good time to say to them, listen, if you want anything else covered, let's talk about it now. We can do an amendment to the managing agent contract. But then the trustees start off the year knowing what the responsibilities of the managing agent are and what they will do and what they won't do. Another important thing to do is to review the previous trustees' minutes. Now, I know trustees don't tend to do this, but I think the managing agent could really go a long way to just quickly going through the previous year's trustees' minutes and bringing to the meeting highlights of what decisions were taken and why. Because when you change a set of trustees. Some will stay on and some won't. So you're going to have some new ones who don't know what happened before. And with all respect to the previous ones, they might have forgotten. So bring it forward of aspects that were on the agenda and under the scrutiny of the trustees. So the resolutions that need to be confirmed at this meeting are important, very important. Confirm the new levy arising from the budget. Okay, it's that is really important. The letter needs to go out, although there is some controversy now about whether a letter has to go out. But let's say it has to go out. That is what always happened. You need to have a process for defaulting owners. What are you going to do? When are they going to be handed over? What is your rate of interest? Another thing that doesn't come up very often that is so key is the trustees become trustees for whatever reason, and we will never know. But some of them have this idea that they could get contracts for their auntie or uncle who's got a painting company, or somebody can get waterproofing done and benefit somebody else. So highlight the fact that there are fiduciary duties and they need to declare conflict of interests. Only one body corporate that I've seen has actually put it in at every single trustee meeting and asked, are there any people that want to declare conflict of interest? I think it's a very good reminder because these days people are not all in the same wave ethic-wise. Okay, communication processes. Decide who emails are going to go to, who are the financial statements going to go to, who's going to send out notices. If there's an emergency in your building, do you have a WhatsApp? Do you have an SMS service to go out to send things out? You know, communication is key. It's when people don't know what's going on that they get so aggro and get annoyed. And if they do know what's going on, they're less likely to because they can go and find out more about it. Newsletters are a great idea. I think that maybe they've been taken over by WhatsApp. That's fine, but a newsletter once a month is not a bad idea because you can put much more in it. I don't say that this one's birthday greeting should be given or that one's anniversary, they've been 50 years. I do see that in the retirement villages, but then they don't have a lot of other stuff to do. They put that in the newsletter to fill it up. But this is real life, and this is sectional title, and this is what we're living with every day. So send out newsletters that are worthy of being read, that's telling the owners what their money is being spent on. That type of thing is so important. The more you tell the owners, the less complaints you're going to get. Then we have the matter of goals and focus areas. Every year, trustees come in and they might have a different set of goals or focus areas. Sure, they can't go off the track a great deal because we have 10-year maintenance plans now. But if everybody comes together and we say, okay, this is what we're going to try and achieve this year, this is the legacy we're going to leave behind. It might be like getting the gardens looking much better. Then you already now have a subcommittee with gardens, so you can get them excited. You're going to actually see that the staff are going to have proper contracts. You're going to see the staff are getting uniforms, maybe look at training. This sort of have some goals and focus areas so you can pass on a better body corporate to the next group of trustees. So you setting out a meeting schedule for the year is a good idea because a lot of people are busy, and if you want them trustees to attend meetings, which trustees are meant to attend meetings, then at least have a meeting schedule people can work around the dates. And the other thing that I really suggest to do is review all body corporate contracts. That may be the security contract, it may be the gardening contract. There's lots. The facilities manager contract, it might be subbed out. Do that because firstly, you'll know that they're current, that you're getting your money's worth. And secondly, then the trustees actually understand what is being done. So those are the very big do that I say for managing agents, and you're setting the tone for the year. Now, if you're a managing agent on slide 8, these are the don'ts for managing agents. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. You know, so many people want to please the crowd. It's like the politicians, they'll tell you anything. We all know that. That's happening at the moment. They'll tell you anything, and then when it comes to actuality, what gets delivered? It's a very sad indictment of the industry these days. Not our industry, the whole country. Sorry, that's more than that. Okay, don't charge as managing agent for non-standard amounts unless you get pre-approval. A typical example of this is Poppy. There was so much drama with regarding to Poppy. Managing agents got absolutely covered in work to do. Understandably, it's their time. And I do think they had a right to charge for them, and I still do think so. But then don't just charge after the fact. Say, listen, guys, there's this Poppy work coming up. It's not part of our standard contract. We are going to have to levy it. Once again, it's about transparency and upfront. And please, 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 if you're responsible as a managing agent for minutes, you need to get them out within 7 days. Not only because it's the act that says so, but it's practical, because in there, everybody will know what's supposed to be done. And having an action column at the end is always a good idea, because it makes people think, oh dear, I better do this, otherwise I'm going to be singled out. So please do that and get the agendas out in time. Okay, we've had a good idea of what managing agents need to do, but on slide 9, we're going to talk about trustees. Trustees join for all sorts of reasons. They're not always honorable reasons. A lot of them are well wishers. They really want to do something, but they really don't have a clue. So what are the desirable characteristics of a trustee? Well, a team player and somebody who's responsible and will be prepared to learn and listen. Really important tools. Not that understands the basics of sectional title, but is prepared to learn more. And managing agents, please put in your budget money for training and education when you do it, because it's really important. Trustees should not have hidden agendas. They should have time, not a lot of time, but some time they can commit to helping the body corporate. They want to see the reward of having a well-run body corporate that runs properly. It's their investment after all. Trustees, please prepare for your meetings. I had a trustee, the chairman, who came into meeting the other day, and he said, "Oh, so what's up today?" No, we don't need a chairman like that. We don't need a trustee like that. Make time as trustees to return emails. And trustees, you choose the chairman. Choose the chairman for the right reasons. Not because he's your friend, not because you think, okay, well, he knows more than me. He may not. Just choose it for the right reasons. Understand the concepts of conflict and fiduciary duty. I mentioned this before under managing agents, and I'm going to mention it again, because joining the trustees so that you can get a contract for your auntie or uncle is not what it's about. Okay, though we all know the trustees that you really don't like. So we're on slide 9. These are the undesirables in trustees. Large ego, bully, was not a head boy at school, so now he's taking it out in the sectional title community. Disrespectful, pushes his boundaries, he's in it for his own benefit, and he really is argumentative. He thinks he knows the law a lot better than anybody else. Those kind of trustees you really don't need, and you as owners choose them. So choose with a lot more care. Do's of being a good trustee. We've mentioned this before, that they need to actually be willing to learn, that they come prepared to meetings, that they're informed, they're polite and respectable to everybody. And this will make a huge difference to how trustees are viewed if this is what they're doing, because people will have some respect for them, they'll show respect, and it will be returned back again. The managing agents will be able to work with them more easily as well. There are some strong do's and do nots for trustees. And one of them is to blame the managing agent for everything that goes wrong. Because remember that I said managing agents do not make decisions. They only carry out the functions of the trustees when required to. So the trustees are responsible for everything that goes on. So you can't blame the managing agent if something really goes badly wrong. If the managing agent sends out the notices late, well, yeah, you can blame him for that. But that's not a train smash. Okay, don't give the managing agent illegal instructions. It does happen. Oh, just loan the gardener 5,000 Rand. You're not allowed in a body corporate under the Sectional Title Schemes Management Act to lend money to anybody. So that's an illegal instruction. If the managing agent turned around and said, I can't do it, then you're going to say, but I'm telling you, I'm a trustee. So therefore, you as trustees, you need to know what is legal and what is not legal. Don't swamp the managing agent with unnecessary calls and emails. We have a trustee in one of our buildings that sends an email and then 5 minutes or 10 minutes later phones up to check that they've got the email and why haven't they answered it yet? I mean, how frustrating is that? Don't make trustees meetings a social event. It's harder now because we're virtual, but there still are some actual meetings. And it always happened in the past at some of the trustees meetings that they'd have wine and snacks, and they settle in because they're all community spirited and they enjoy it. But then the manager agent has to sit there and take minutes, and he wants or she wants to go home to a family and on a time restraint, not social events, because anyway, who knows what you do when you're drunk? And then don't play out issues through being a trustee. If you have a personal vendetta against Mr. Brown because you knew him in a previous situation, this is not the time to take it out on him. Those kinds of things are very childish, but they happen a lot. Okay, on screen 10, I want you to know what you can reasonably expect from your managing agent. And trustees, you need to know that if you're not getting this, you need to renegotiate with your managing agent, look at another managing agent, because this is what you're entitled to. This is beside the contract. Guidance, knowledge, experience, and objectivity. All the time. And sometimes it doesn't happen because a managing agent has been with a body corporate for a very, very long time. And you might have a very powerful chairman who actually browbeats that managing agent who wants to keep the block because it's a really good income spinner. And I'm talking from experience. So just managing agents, be careful of this, and trustees be aware of it. You're entitled as trustees to have timeous and efficient service. You can't say instant gratification is not going to help in this industry, but timeous service, and that's what you'd set out at your first trustees meeting. How long is it expected to be before we can have X, Y, Z? Not to be charged for contracts not to be charged for items in the contract, but that's what I've said. You can renegotiate the contract. If you've got be reasonable. I went to my managing agent and said, listen, Poppy wasn't in your contract. Let us pay you more what you think is a reasonable amount. The insurance is the key thing to sectional title. It is so important because if you don't have insurance, you do not have a body corporate and everybody's investment goes to the wall. So the insurance renewal has to be taken seriously. The trustees need to get the recommendations from the broker. It needs to be discussed with the broker, preferably. Most brokers will come virtually to the meeting. And Mike Addison is really forefront in this. He will always attend a meeting when it has to be discussed with regard to insurance renewal or other insurance aspects. And then the last thing is give support managing agents to trustees. They deserve it. They need informative answers to their questions. Right, so now we've finished with trustees, and now we're going to talk about owners. Now, owners are the people that supply the trustees. They vote in the trustees. So all of the above does apply to them, but there's some more things for owners. The first thing of the do's of being a good owner. Before you buy into a complex, you should really look at the conduct rules and see if it's going to suit you. So I really can't emphasize this enough, but if you're already owner, that's unfortunately you're too late. But go and read the conduct rules, understand the conduct rules, know how your body corporate runs. You're entitled to information. You can ask the managing agents for what information you want, And if you're hearing rumors, oh, they spend too much on this or they're not doing that right, ask for the minutes. Ask if you can go to the trustees meetings. You are entitled to go there. You may not vote, but you can listen and you can talk and you can get the minutes. Allow the body corporate access to your exclusive use area and your EUAs. We hear terrible stories about owners who will not let people in to come and fix a blocked pipe. My goodness, what are you supposed to do? The person underneath you is going to get no water, or it's going to bubble up in their flat. You need to be fair. The facilities manager needs to give you notice unless it's an emergency, but please let them in. Because if you have a problem, you didn't want the person above you not to allow the management in to fix whatever's affecting you. You need to keep your EUAs clean, neat, and defray any costs, which means that if you have damage to your EUA, it has to be fixed. But the body corporate is responsible for the common property, then you're going to have to pay back the costs. Use your section and your EUA without being a nuisance to people. It's what it's intended for. It was intended for flat and for residential. It's not intended to be a laundry or a kitchen for cooking classes. Then the smells get a bit much. It depends what you're cooking, of course, but some cooking doesn't smell so good. You don't want to affect other people, because if they do it, you're going to do it. And they're going to do it to you, not maybe intentionally, but you're then going to be mad and do it intentionally to them. So please be careful of what you do in your exclusive use area and your section. Advise body corporate of change of occupancy. That's for a whole lot of reasons, not least of which is security. The office needs to know who's living there. Pay your levies on time. COVID has brought about a lot of problems. Those that genuinely haven't got money, we feel very sorry for, but there's a lot of people that are using the excuse not to pay. And if you don't pay levies, how is your body corporate going to function? And it might only be you this time, but next month there's 3 more. So eventually you get into a situation where you're insolvent. And then your investment goes down because there's not enough money for repairs. Please choose your tenants wisely. This is absolutely critical. We're all short of tenants at this stage in our lives. But honestly, I'd rather not have a tenant than have one that's going to mess up anything. That's going to, the person is not going to pay, or the tenant's going to be a bad person, or they're going to sell drugs, or whatever it is. Really vet your tenant really well, because it's dishonorable to the rest of your owners and neighbors to actually bring in rubbish. It's so short term, because if they rubbish to the neighbors, they're going to be a bad tenant to you. You're not going to get your money. They're going to trash the place. So really vet your tenants correctly. Don't do anything as owners to bring your body corporate into disrepute, which is what I've just mentioned now. Don't let people that you think are drug dealers coming in. Don't ignore the conduct rules. And don't threaten the trustees and the managing agent. We would like to see owners that are diligent before purchasing and familiarize themselves with the body corporate and the conduct rules. That offer assistance if they've got a skill. So many people have got skills that they could bring. They don't want to be a trustee, but make the trustees aware of how they could contribute. Like maybe someone's good at woodworking and could repair certain things, or you have creosote poles in your garden that need some attention from time to time. Those little things all add up to major ones. Have a respectful attitude to managing agents, trustees, and other owners and residents. Listen, it goes back to Ubuntu. Just be good to others. Generally, it comes back to you. Politely send complaints if you have them. Send them in. That's absolutely fine. You're entitled to have complaints. But send in an email with a paper trail with dates and times so that an investigation can be done. Not like going to a trustee and bang on their door and say, what are you going to do about this? The trustee also needs downtime. Send it in a proper format to the right person. If you're asked to sort out something, deal with it promptly. The same way, if you phoned the managing agent or the building manager and said, I've got this problem, you would want them to deal with it promptly. And one thing that came up with the managing agents, they just all dreaded Monday mornings because they used to call it the Monday morning rant. The tenants would, or the owners would have time on the weekend to think about what really pissed them off, excuse the language, but it would get up their noses so much that on Monday morning, the first thing they did was dump it all on the managing agent. Would you like to come to work and have to deal with this? I don't think so. And if you want to have a meeting with the managing agent as an owner, you're entitled to that, as you are with the trustees. But make an appointment. Don't just pop into the offices, and don't just send a virtual invite and say, please, can we have it? Because then the managing agent, whoever you're having it with, will have the time to have sussed out what is going to be the topic of conversation and bring it to the meeting. And it will all go a whole lot better. Well, we're on slide 13 now. And what can owners expect from the managing agent? The owners can expect a response within a predetermined time. This Act lays down that if you want to set conduct rules, it has to be sent out within 5 days, other stuff within 10 days. You know what? That's fine. I'm sure that the managing agent, if they keep up to date and they're not worried by all these Monday morning rants, will probably stick to that. You're entitled to ask as an owner for copies of the trustee minutes or the meeting, notice of meetings. You can rely on the professional knowledge of the managing agent. You're entitled to do that. So managing agents, you need to keep abreast. And I'm sure a lot of you do. And everybody, including the owners, deserve to be treated with courtesy and respect. So I have come to the end of my practical suggestions. And in conclusion, what I'm saying to you on slide 14 is that, in fact, all parties are on the same page. Just the font may differ. Let's make this work because we're all in it for the long haul. So what I want to tell you is that I've been in sectional title for 38 years in every role that I could possibly have played except a managing agent, because nobody would pay me enough to be that managing agent. It's such a hard job. And when I was working with the acts, I could never find anything in a hurry. So eventually I produced what is now called keyword access to these 3 acts. And it is it's so easy to use because I indexed every single clause and every single topic that is all the acts. So, and next to it is a page number, the acts number, the clause number. So, and there's nearly 40 pages of index. And that is what I sell so that people can actually find what they need immediately. You're sitting in a meeting, you're confronted with a situation, you can show them the facts. An owner jumps on you one day and says, but why are you doing this? And you say, listen, just let's look it up. What does the act say? And it's there. And so you can find, honestly, everything in 60 seconds. And for managing agents, they have really, it's quite hard to sell anything to managing agents because I always believe they don't charge enough and they don't have spare cash. But honestly, the managing agents are even at this stage coming back and saying, gee, it saves us money. It's such a good tool. Da-di-da. So I've been selling it for a long time. There's a lot out there, but I think a lot more can go into the marketplace and find its use in your lives. Next slide. Okay, so today, the talk that I gave, Lee Reeves, I thank you so much. I just see your message on chat. He says, received my book 2 weeks ago. It's amazing. So buy one. Okay. The talk that I gave, presentation I did today, it is going to be on the TVDM's website, but I based it on a publication that I do, which is this. It's about 6 to 8 pages, and it's the content of this, actually everything spelled out in a very nice, easy way to read. It's actually perfect to send out to your owners. And if it's a managing agent that buys it and sends it to all the owners, then it's such a good idea that I'll put the branding on so that your name is out there. It's a good PR exercise, and it's something that can be staying in the marketplace for a long time on a PR. So I do that, which is called improving key relationships in sectional title for the benefit of all. Pardon me. And I also think that owners need, because many of them come in not knowing anything about sectional title, they need the basics. So I have another PDF publication called Introducing You to the World of Sectional Title. And it explains the terminology and the basic overview of sectional title. Also our brands with body corporate or with company logos. And today there's a giveaway, and the lucky person could choose which one they would like. But if they don't win one today, you can just write into us and we'll tell you how it goes about and what the cost is. I'm also offering a discount of 300 Rand to all of our TVDM customers on the manual keyword access, and 10% on training or any other services, provided I get payment by the end of August. I do a lot of training. I do it for managing agents, for trustees, for owners. I do it for the insurance industry who are specializing in insurance for sectional title. There's a whole variety of estate agents as well. And I don't do in-depth training. I do an overview so that you can actually build on that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us today. And I look forward to hearing any questions or anything you may have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Shirley. I'm going to hand over to Louise to do the draw. I'm so sorry, I completely forgot to mention it at the beginning. We have lost a couple of people since the start, so perhaps they won't be one of the winners. But Louise, if I can hand over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Linda. I have, while Shirley was wrapping up, done the draw, and Katrin Kerkhoff is the lucky winner today.
Katrin, you still online? Just unmute yourself if you're
good.
There she is.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. Well done. Great stuff. Louise will send Katrin's details through to Shirley. And then, of course, if you are interested in purchasing one of those books, I don't know if anybody saw, I was trying to show our branded copy on the screen over there. Very, very nice to go to consultations and meetings and things like that with. And of course, if you go to your trustee meetings and annual general meetings and special general meetings, always great to have the Bible with you on hand. Katrin, Louise will be in contact with you as well as Shirley. And then, of course, if you're interested in purchasing those books, do contact Shirley. I have posted her details on the chat function. And as Shirley was speaking and mentioning relevant parties in the industry, like Mike Addison from AdShare, for example, Levy Collections, Stratafin, I've posted their details on the chat function as well. Alrighty, so there's actually a question, Shirley, as to whether or not you've got an electronic version of your book available. I know we've spoken about it before. Is there any update in that regard?
No, I continually be asked for an electronic update or to put it on. I'm not comfortable doing it because nobody can guarantee it won't be passed around. If somebody comes to me and says, this is how it works, and no one else will ever get it, I'll do it because I'd like to have it. But I promise you that I will investigate again because it's about 2 years since I did it last time.
I think maybe have a chat with Bruno, who seems to be the technological genius amongst us. Perhaps he's able to help you. Fantastic. Ladies and gents, are there any questions for Shirley? We've got about 5 minutes or so before we're going to close the session. Caroline, I see your hand is up.
Hi, Zelinda. Hi, Shirley. Shirley,
Hi.
this is such a super valuable topic, and it just can't be, communicated enough. I think it's such a massive challenge where there is such confusion or ignorance around, and this is not a generalized comment for all managing agents and trustees. I mean, there are, like I've said before, there's excellent managing agents and excellent trustees, but it remains a very real issue where fiduciary duties, roles and responsibilities are not clear. Owners do not understand the roles of those trustees and managing agents. Trustees depend on managing agents to understand the law, and there's often ignorance of the STSMA and other statutory requirements and exceeding of powers between managing agents and trustees, which results in a point which you raised around illegal instructions and actions. So, you know, there's a massive lack of understanding what law these trustees and managing agents are defending. There are trustees who are depending on the managing agents to actually be advising according to law, and they often talk with conviction and they aren't correct. And that's what actually lands up creating a lot of these issues. And you also mentioned the point around bullying, where there are owners that will, or residents which will raise issues of non-compliance and valid issues of non-compliance, and there's a resultant bullying by trustees and managing agents, who then land up defending each other, even though they are acting contravention of the Act, and owners who have raised those issues land up being ostracized or victimized. So it's a really massive issue that really has a lot of scope for people understanding these roles. So thank you for that. And there are issues that need to be addressed.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Any other questions or comments?
Joan has got one, I think. Joan?
There, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this morning. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot and I've confirmed a lot of things. The main question is, may trustees go against the sectional title management rules? In other words, may they deny you access to trustee meetings, and then may they deny you receiving copies of minutes? And
No.
may they...
No, they can't. Sorry.
And if you go to the managing agent, the response is, I have received strict instructions. And what do you do? Please help.
Zelinda, would you like to answer that? Because you can go to CSOS or you can go to Zelinda.
Thank you.
Zelinda, you carry on with that answer if you've got a better one.
Yeah, so I mean, recently we've been getting a lot of queries from owners saying that the trustees and the managing agents are not giving them access to the records of the body corporates, be it minutes or owners' contact information, because of POPI. So that's not correct. As an owner or any person authorized in writing by an owner, you do have right to access that information. You obviously don't have to be given it electronically. So the managing agent and or the trustees can make your life a bit difficult and say you need to come into the office, make an appointment, come and make copies, pay for the copies, etc., etc. I'm not going to lie, when I was a managing agent, I have done that once or twice. And I have given clients that advice as well. With COVID and a lot of offices being closed and people being a bit afraid to go to offices and things like that, you know, I think it is a little bit more relevant to rather send it out via email if it is available via email or electronically. It is not going to be a POPI breach at all, but depending on what you as the owner are going to do with that information, that of course could be a POPI breach. So if you're going to use the information for purposes of administration and management of the body corporate, that's 100% fine. If you're going to use it perhaps to market your business, that would be a POPI contravention. But no, Shirley's quite right. It cannot be denied. Thank you for that question. Sandra, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to extend my thanks to Zelinda, Shirley, everybody who's given us invaluable information. I think COVID has done something to all of us, and we've actually changed the way we do things, and we actually make sure that everything can be done online. We've breached that uncertainty and that, how can I say, I don't know how to do this. So you guys in this past year have shared such invaluable information. It's becoming difficult to check who said what, and it actually made my agenda items for the AGMs a lot more intensive. So there's a lot that I need to speak on, and I think it's going to be quite difficult for me to try and wrap everything into an hour or 2 hours if need be, because I really have to articulate all this information to the owners so they're fully aware of what's going on, what they can and can't do, and also why we do what we do and our roles and responsibilities and all of that. So yeah, I'm really grateful to all of you for your assistance and your help, and just go to sleep knowing that you've made a difference in all of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's lovely. Thank you so much. Remember, we do have all of our resources on our website. I sent the link to our videos. We've got blog posts. Shirley has written a couple of great ones for us as well, that when I proofread it, I have a good old giggle. So it's very nice to read a post that is entertaining as well as informative. I have also posted a couple of dates of a few upcoming webinars, just to run through them. We've got a NAMA, Stratofin, TVDM Consultants, Rudy Hirschlop webinar panel discussion coming up on Tuesday the 24th at 11 o'clock to be confirmed. That information will come out through Daniela at Stratofin. We then have another Stratofin webinar on Thursday the 26th at 11 o'clock. I see Stratofin has already advertised that event. And then, of course, we've got our Meeting Pal demo that is happening in conjunction with TVDM Consultants on Tuesday the 31st at 10 o'clock. And then, of course, not to forget the Women in Sectional Title webinar that is not only for women, gents can attend as well. That's happening in the next 6 minutes, arranged by BBM attorneys and Marina Constance specifically. So on that note, I thank you all very much for attending. Shirley, thank you very much for your wise words as always, and putting it in such a fair and a reasonable manner. I have to admit, I was telling Nicole and Lemise beforehand that I'm like, oh, you know, sometimes Shirley's a little bit anti-managing agent, but I think the presentation today was absolutely fantastic. You really did hit the nail on the head in a lot of instances, and I'm sure a lot of our managing agent colleagues will be able to confirm that as well. Just a reminder that the recording will be made available on our website as well as the presentation, and please do take up Shirley on her offer of the discounted rate on her Bible. I say that tongue in cheek, of course, but you know, it's really, really good to have with you at meetings. Remember, if you order and pay before the 31st of August, you will get that TVDM Consultants discount. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely day further. And of course, a good weekend after tomorrow. Keep well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.